Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to, well, it is the Sunday morning briefing, but I'm going to do something slightly different today. I'm going to do a WIP parade. I don't think this is going to be the full WIP parade. I think this might be part one. Of how many parts, I'm not sure, but I'm going to get started today and show you some of my WIPs. If you watched my previous FlossTube last week, you'll know that I'm kind of pre-filming this because we've got some friends staying with us, and so I won't be able to film a normal FlossTube, but I probably won't have done that much stitching in the time they're here anyway, so you're not missing out on anything. I won't have accomplished anything majestic in that time. So I thought it was a good time to go back and look through the WIPs. I have literally got in front of me on the floor an 80-litre box which has just got all of my project bags in it. So nothing's ironed. I'm not even 100% sure that I'm going to be able to tell you everything about every project, which is a little bit scary. And it's totally in contrast to the last WIP parade that I filmed, which I think was my second or third FlossTube, and I had it all ironed, I had it all, a list that told me everything that I needed to know. So this is how far I've come in 18 months. I'm now willing to just take a lucky dip and we'll see what happens. Some of these might be quite well stitched on them. Some of them might be daring to call themselves WIPs. We'll see. So I'm just going to make a start and see what happens. So this first one. This is the Cryptids stitch along from the Witchy Stitcher. This has finished now. I have not. This has finished. The last one, if you've been following along with this, you had a choice of 3 different cryptids and Bigfoot was one of them. And I was following in the Witchy Stitcher group, and some people brilliantly had done the box and everything for Bigfoot and then just had him walking off the side of their chart. So if I've left enough room, then I would love to do that. So this is my progress. This is a piece of 32 count, oh there is enough room, piece of 32 count fabric that I hand dyed, and I have got a squeaky chair if I sit that far back, and you can see that I have done the word cryptids and not much else. So I'm really inspired actually, because I've seen so many people having finished theirs and it's a beautiful stitch, so I should get back to that. I'm going to try not to say that after every one, because otherwise it's going to become really annoying. So that's Cryptids, number 1. Number 2. Now, I'm only going to be able to count up to maybe 5. So this is called Elise Laidman by the Wishing Thorn, which is this one here. And I'm going to have to come forward a little bit because otherwise I'm going to squeak every time I move. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Icelandic beige, which I think is a permin. And, sorry, don't want to lose that bit of thread. You'll see that I've got a couple of starts on here. The top one was a nice blue, but it didn't have much variation in it. The bottom one is the blue that I've decided to go with, which is a DMC, which has got a lot more variegation in it. Now the reason that I wanted to have the variegation is because if you look at the original sampler, let's see if I can find the original picture. I can't find the full picture, but there's a bit of it there. When you look at it, it really does have quite a lot of variation in the blue. So I shall be using, it's a DMC 103, and I think it's discontinued. So I'm hoping that will be enough. We shall see. Next one. please. Okay. Right, that's a chart. That doesn't need to be in there. That's not even that chart. This one, the blue flower. This is Halloween Parade, and this was one of my absolute favourite of all time. So why have I not finished it? Why? Answers on a postcard. And I think this is on a piece of 38 count. I think it's a 38 count that I dyed myself. So again, there's not that much left to finish actually on that one. This year I'm pretty much decided that I'm not going to have any new starts in Mania. I'm going to have a finish Mania, because I keep starting things every new May and then not finishing them, not working on them. And so I think I want to have a bit of a clean up this time. I'm not sure I'm going to have any new starts. Maybe one. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to be doing lots and lots of projects this time. This one is a Barbara Anna one, another one that I absolutely love and have an abysmal amount of work on. This is Love Never Fails, which is that one there. And I'm stitching it on a piece of 40 count XG Designs called there it is. I knew it was in there somewhere. Old Linen. And I have a really poor start. Not very much of a start there at all, really. So I've got the girl's face, which is quite a pale face, and then I've done a couple of the flowers at the top. So nothing earth-shattering, and it's probably in exactly the same state as it was in my last WIP Parade, which is why I think Mania has to be a finish Mania. Right, move that out of the way. That's not... okay. So this one I haven't got the chart in here for. I know I've only got my working copy. This is called Ink Circles Sea Stars. And this is on a piece of hand marbled fabric that I hand marbled. One day I'll show you how to marble. One day I'll do a tutorial. And as you can see, I've done quite a bit. And I'm just basically doing each motif in a kind of a blue or a green. And then some of the motifs I have beaded. So the octopus in the centre has got some beads on. That motif there has got some beads on. The little fishies are done with a bit of Krynic. So some of the motifs are almost like ghost motifs. So the two seahorses there, I did those in a dinky dye, and then I've used some beads for their little fins. So I do like this one, and I think that once it's done it will look amazing. And I've got to the bottom there, and the bottom does have a sea monster, it does have a Nessie on the bottom. So I've got all my threads in here and all my beads and everything just to pack, just to carry on with it. What's in here? Ah, okay. So this is by the Drawn Thread, When Skeletons Dance, and again, I've only got my working copy, so I have to put a picture up. of this one. I'll do the same for Sea Stars as well. Now this is one of the first things I ever started on linen, and I'm not sure I've shown it to you before because I seem to remember when I filmed my last WIP parade I couldn't find it. But let's have a look and see where we are. Oh gosh, look at that, look at that. So I've got a reasonable amount done there actually. There's just going to be that massive moon to fill in. And I seem to remember that I changed the house from like a green colour to an orange, to a dark orange. You can tell how long this WIP is I've had because I've got some half stitches there and I don't stitch like that anymore. I never really did. I could never really get it to work doing half stitches one way and then half stitches back the other way. I've always much preferred doing full cross. But that wouldn't take, I'm going to say this every time, that wouldn't take a lot to finish. We'll finish it. But yeah, no, it's all right. I think sometimes when we do our first projects after we move from Ada to linen or even weave to linen, we assume that they're worse than they actually are. And I probably put that down thinking it was terrible. And actually, looking back on it, it's not. It's absolutely fine. It's no different to how it would look now if I did it. Okay, this one's actually in a project bag. This is a project bag that I made. It's one of the first ones that I ever made. I can make project bags. In fact, I used to make them and I used to sell them. But I could never keep up with myself. I could never keep up with myself. So this is Mill Hill. Is that the one I've actually started? Yeah, Palace Theatre. Now when I first got Mill Hills, I did not like stitching on the perforated paper. I really like it now. So my plan was to stitch them on 28 count mushroom Lugana, which is what that is, and then make them into cubes or something like that. I do a cube finish on them. So again, this one would not take a massive amount of finishing because I'm much quicker than I used to be. Because this would have been stitched in a Q snap and I stitch in hand now, so this would not take that much longer to finish. And again, feel free to scream at me, I'll just finish it then. So I've got that one, and I've also got in here, maybe not the fabric, but I've got two others. I've got the Victorian house, and I've also got, which one's that? The bookseller to do. And I definitely know that's mushroom Lugana, so it'd be very easy to get some more of that to do those bits. I know who's in here. Now, we've been talking a lot about Welsh samplers, or I have. Welsh samplers, St David's Day, Welsh Sampler SAL. And here is the Scarlet House, Rachel Howells. And I'm stitching her in the DMC on a piece of 40 count platinum. And let's see where I am. You'll see this is ironed. This is ironed because I probably haven't got it out since last time. So there I am. I've started the house. I've got the tree. Is it a proper tree or is it just the... Yes, of course it's a tree. Of course it's a tree. With Adam and Eve that will be on either side of the tree, but I haven't put them in yet. And I've got a good bit of the border actually fleshed out, or the bottom corner of the border actually fleshed out. Now, I do remember thinking when I was working on it that I'm not sure that this is platinum. I think it might be the one slightly darker than that, so it might be the mocha. because I had another piece of platinum and this was darker. So I think it's been mislabeled, and I think it may be the mocha or whatever the next one up is from platinum. So yeah, stitching that in the DMC. Ah! Oh please. There we go. I've got to put everything back as I go, otherwise there is going to be an unholy mess to put away. I've lost count now, so I might have put a count on the screen. I don't know. I'm not sure. Who's in here? Oh gosh, this is hardly a WIP, this one. Again, I absolutely loved this when it came out. Little House Needlework's October's Party. And this is a piece of Fibre on a Whim Cream and Sugar with all the called for colours, and October Gave a Party. October Gave a Party. If you're wondering what I keep leaning my arm on, it's the end of the bed. It's the bedstead. It's very handy. So, October Gave a Party. And I'm just going to read this out in case you've never seen it. It says, October gave a party, the leaves by hundreds came, the chestnuts, oaks and maples, the leaves of every name. And sunshine spread a carpet and everything was grand. Miss Weather led the dancing, Professor Wind the band. I think that's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's a poem written by George Cooper. So it does go on to 2 other verses as well. Now, this one, last year in Mania, I had the brilliant idea of trying to be like the handwork maniac Brenda, and of starting 12 new projects and then designating each of them a month to get finished in. What I didn't factor in is that Brenda is a dedicated stitcher, whereas I am flighty, shall we say? Flighty. I am not good at telling myself what I want to work on. I'm just really not. And I find that a pleasure and a curse, to be perfectly honest. Sometimes I wish I'd just stick to the plan. So anyway, this should have been finished in February. It's not. So this is the drawn thread, stars. And you get 2 versions in this chart. So here you can see at the top is an alphabet, and then there is a verse. The second version has another verse at the top. So it says, age is opportunity, no less than youth. Itself thou... Oh, itself thou in another dress. Sorry, I'm trying to read it based on a chart and it's really quite hard. And then it goes on to say, as the evening twilight fades away, the sky is filled with stars invisible by day. So it's basically like a poem on aging, I think. And I really like that, so I'd rather do the double verse rather than the alphabet. Because I've got the alphabet on 1 or 2 other things. Age's opportunity, no less than youth, less than youth itself. Though in another dress, Maybe I should start with the alphabet and then build up to words. And it's done on this beautiful, I think it's cobblestone. But the cobblestone really does make that blue stand out. Now I saw this finished, April, May, June stitcher had finished this. She does a lot of drawn thread things and shepherd's bush things and things that have specialty stitches in it because she's brilliant. And I saw it framed and it just looked absolutely amazing, framed, and that's why I bought it. I bought the kit from Chris at the Nimble Thimble when I went, I think. Yeah, when I went, so that's quite some time ago. So really need to get that worked on. Who's in here? Who is in here? Okay, so this is a chart, a Teresa Kogut chart, which I got from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, the 2018 Christmas issue, and it's the one that's on the front, and in actual fact it's the one that made me subscribe to Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. And it's on a piece of fabric that I dyed. And I'll have to just refer back to the chart to remember what it says. And we know how well that went a minute ago, don't we? It says, Santa knows your heart, that's true, so he's bringing wool for you. Anyway, you all have seen that because I'll have put a picture of it. And I know she's released this chart in its own right, and it has a slightly different name. But there is the Santa and the sheep. Now I stopped stitching on this because this is 36 count and I was stitching with 2 threads, and then I moved on to 36 count stitching with 1 thread, and so I found this one just a little bit tight, but I've recently gone back to 36 count with 2 threads, and so I feel I probably could be in a better frame of mind to work on that now. So what else is in there then? Oh, I know what else is in there. Honestly, if you could see in this bag, it's like a rat's nest. If I ever do a video offering any kind of organisational tips, don't bother watching it. This one is by, I got the chart in here for this one. It would make sense if I did. Is this it? Yes, it is. Autumn Alphabet by Willow Hill Samplings. And this is a piece of 40 count that I dyed. And there is my progress. 1 cat, 2 letters of the alphabet, and 1/4 of a pumpkin. But I do like that. I wish I could remember what colours they were. I do like that. Right, what else have we got next? Aha! Another one with a disappointingly small amount done. Now, this I started in all of a fuss because I saw it finished and it was beautiful. It's called the Beauty Spot Sampler by Long Dog, and I saw it finished, and so I, as quick as I could, dyed myself a piece of fabric, and again I think it's a 38 count. In fact, I dyed 2 pieces of fabric because there is a companion piece to this as well. So I dyed 2 pieces of fabric, one for this and one for the companion piece, which I still refuse to use because it's the companion piece to this. And I have got a very small amount at the bottom. So that is the bottom of the fox. Just there. And it's all the DMCs for it. But I do need to take it and get it serged. How are we doing? Go for a few more. This is definitely going to be a double header at least. Next one. Now this one is called Solomon's Temple Sampler 1849. Now I bought this and started it quite early on in my sort of stitching and sampler career, and it's since come to light that the person who charted this may not have the permissions to chart it. For example, it's in a museum and they don't have the permissions to chart it. So I'm not going to publicise where you can get it from. I will finish it and then I won't buy any more. So this is where I say I will finish it. Can we just have a little look at what's going on the bottom here? That's how close I am on the bottom border. So I will track it along and hope that this is a reasonably straight cut piece of fabric. And then I will go from there. But this is a 36 count. This is definitely a platinum. And you can see that it's going to take up the majority of the piece. So that's going to be my first port of call, is to run that border along there and just hope that it doesn't come too close. I don't think it will, but it's not going to be a comfortable border at the bottom there, especially if it starts to fray before I get it serged. I think I might actually start making a little pile of stuff that needs to be serged. So that one. And well, keep those two out. What else have we got in here? Who's in here? I do love this one. Where's the cover? This is Louise de la Plagne from Reflet de Soie. And it's stitched on a piece of 40 count heather by Zweigart, but I think it's something that's been hand dyed. I got it in a D stash and I've never managed to find it as a colour in 40 count from Zweigart. So, and I've got a reasonable amount done on it. A reasonable amount. So I'm just coming in to do this bottom corner piece here. This is the only French one that I've got started. So I've got the charts for 2 or 3 others, but it's the only one that I've got started. Okay. Let's have a look here. January. So this was obviously part of Mania last year. This is In All Things Be Exceedingly Diligent by the Needlework Press, and I've just got my working copy in here, so I will put a picture up of this one. And I'm using the Cool 4 colours, except I subbed out the blue for that top colour there, which is the Gentle Art Blackboard, which is actually quite blue in itself, because the one blue that they had suggested really just seemed to jar with all of the other colours. Now this, I know, is a piece of Hazel Anderson's 36 count, I think. So it's going to fit on there, and then I have enough to do the new companion piece on the other side. Anybody sense the hint of irony in showing you samplers where I have got the smallest of starts and have already made plans for the companion pieces? There's a real irony there. It's not lost on me. It's an affliction. It's an affliction. Right, where are we going now? This one Halloween Parade by Clouds Factory. This was a stitch along. And I don't think I've got the full, I have. There's the full, what it would look like there. And this is where I am. Sorry, this chair keeps squeaking. So I've done the first block. Now the first block was actually the second block down. So this was the first block that was released, and you were told how far down your fabric to come. So this is quite a blue fabric with a lot of grey in it that I dyed, and I've got the whole other half of it there as well. But again, I don't think that would take too much to finish off. So yeah, there's two other sections like that, plus the pointed bit at the bottom. Maybe that's something to think about for this Halloween, if it can manage to push its way in front of all the other things that I want to stitch. Okay. Oh, this is quite an old one here. This is a dimensions kit. It is a checking his list stocking. So this is just a normal dimensions kit, not a gold kit. So this is on the 14 count, I believe. Yeah. So I'm stitching it with the kit fabric and the kit thread. And could stand up by itself. And I have a Santa belly. It does look quite good. It does look quite good. Do you know what the really silly thing is? I've just ordered some 18 count easy grid to start a gold stocking on. Because in my kitted parade, I might have shown you, I had 2 if not 3 gold stockings. So I should maybe get this one done first. I think I have concluded that if I'm going to be stitching full coverage, I need to put it back onto a Q-snap. I've got another one in here that's full coverage that I didn't stitch on a Q-snap, and I don't necessarily like the way it's looking, to the point where I might even restart it. Excuse me, if I've got enough thread. Okay, hold please, I'll spare you that little coughing fit. This one is Jim Shaw by Design Works, and it's the 12 Days of Christmas Santa, I think, but I don't know what it's called. I can't see, but in his cloak there he's got the 12 Days of Christmas. Now I think I'd already decided that I wasn't going to stitch the yellow around the outside. I was just going to go to the end of the blue and the white. Let's see how far I've got, because I keep thinking about restarting this one on different fabric, but I've already got quite a bit done. I should just really finish this rather than restart it, I think. That would be the sensible option, wouldn't it? And it's really nice stitching as well, especially in the background, because it's nice big blocks of colour. So I've just started on the skirt. Well, it's not a skirt, is it? Santa's not a skirt on. He's got his cloak thing. He might have a skirt on. You never know. there's that one. What's in here? That's not actually a WIP. That's one of those things that I have stitched most of it. So I'll tell you what it is. It's this piece here. It's Agnes Platt, and I've stitched this, and I've stitched this bit as a strawberry, and I've just put all my threads and everything back in my WIP box because there are other projects in there that I'm not planning on doing right at the moment, but this is the place I would look for them. What is in here? This is Baltimore Album by Carolyn Manning, and you can download this one from her website. And I'm stitching mine with the DMC on a piece of 32 count Permin in that colourway. I don't know what it's called, I'm afraid. And I have stitched one block and one bit of border. And it was the border that really, really attracted me to this one. And I switched the white background. It was a white and I've switched it to, is it 3865? Just so it's not quite as bright white. And what they are. They're the threads for something else entirely. In fact, let's be a big girl and take them out of there rather than just shoving them back in. I don't know. No doubt they'll get reunited or something. Okay. This one is Kezia Campbell. And I'm changing this one up to be a sort of a family piece for my mum's side of the family. This is a piece of 38 count Simply Taupe from Foxglove and Lace, Hazel Anderson, and I've not done too bad there. So this was actually the first piece that I stitched, which is to do with my mum's family. The second one, she's hidden a little bit there at the back, is Nessie Mitchell. So this is my mum's brothers and sisters there. So there's Nessie Anderson, my mum's oldest sister, because obviously Nessie died when she was a baby, Margaret Hare. This is David. David died when he was 18, and I haven't stitched his initial in because he's the only one who doesn't seem to have another initial. We've looked on the birth certificate, we've looked on the death certificate, and it's not listed, but it would just seem odd if there was another one, so I'd left it off just till we'd done a bit more research, but I don't think we can find it. And then there's Alec, her brother, who I think is Alec Candlish, and my mum, who is Barbara Candlish. And it's got that lovely honeysuckle border, and there is a Scottish passage there to go over one. So not much left to do on that one either. That could be a good candidate for Finish It Mania. Now this one I should really get a move on with because I know somebody wants to borrow the chart. This is Midsummer Night's Designs. This is Heaven Above by Midsummer Night's Designs. Now I don't know how well you're going to see that because even if I take it out of the bag, it's an actual photograph, so we're going to get a good bit of glare on that anyway. And it says, there is a land of pure delight where saints immortal reign. Eternal day excludes the night and pleasures banish pain. There everlasting spring abides and never fading flowers. Death like a narrow sea divides this heavenly land from ours. And I'm stitching on a piece of fabric that I dyed. Now I can dye fabric, but it would appear that I can't cut fabric. So this is where I am so far on this one, not terribly far. The bottom half will go pretty quickly though, because that's just all fill-in words. And I want to say this is a 36 count. 1 strand over 2. But it is so beautiful. Another pull your finger out. Pop that back in there, otherwise. Now, this one, I keep thinking about whether to ditch this one or not. And I keep coming back to the knot. This is another long dog. This is called Sneak. And this was a stitch along that was released part by part from whoever was Lovecraft's before. I can't think of their name. But they did a few with Long Dog, and they release a part every month for a year. And that was probably the biggest one that they did. So again, I think this is going to have to go to Mum, because this is raw linen. Now in my last FlossTube I said I don't really like stitching on raw linen anymore. It's a 32 count, so it's going to be quite big. And I think about ditching it, and then I get it out and I like it again. So this is where I am with this one. So the main thread that I'm using is that colour change one, which is a Silks for You. And then all my other threads that I've picked out are DMCs or silks or whatever else that fit with that kind of colourway. So it's like a purpley red, a peach, an orange, a yellow, and I do like it, but there's not a lot there. There really isn't a lot there. Let me see if I've got a bit of the it's this thread. Now I have got a skein of this, but this came in one of the grab bags that I used to get. PR 106. That's the main thread that I'm using. So, and in there I've just got, as I said, various other threads that are in the same sort of colour family. But I haven't worked on this in a good couple of years. In fact, having said it, this piece of raw is not too bad. It's not too rough. It's one of those things that I haven't really got the desire to work on it, but I think if I started working on it, I would enjoy it again. Okay. Let's go down a bit further. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 4 more, I think, in this episode, and then I shall save the rest for another episode, maybe another 2 episodes, and I'll do them in extra to the normal FlossTubes. This is another one that April, May, June Stitcher has done, and I think has finished, again, because she's more dedicated than me. This is the drawn thread, the Pastoral pocket. And I have made a mistake. This is another piece of raw linen. Somebody don't like raw linen. I have made a mistake on this one in the fact that I used the wrong colour. So this green here should have been a different green. But then part of me is like, well, so just carry on with it as it is. Nobody's going to know that that's not the correct one. Everything else is fine. So you can see you have to put in basting lines to make sure that everything's going to line up, obviously, so that when you turn it into a pocket, it actually ends up looking like it should. You've got to lay it out as they tell you to on the fabric, otherwise it's not going to work. Now, this is another one that Brenda, the Handwork Maniac, worked on solidly and finished, whereas I seem to have not worked on it solidly and have pinched a couple of threads from it, I know for a fact. So this is Kringles, and I'm stitching it on a piece of 32 count something. If I had to guess, I'd say it was khaki or summer khaki. I don't think it's quite summer khaki, but that's what I have so far. The front of a window and the left side of a door. It's interesting looking back at my tension, actually. My tension's a little odd in a couple of places, but I'm sure it'd be fine. It would be fine in the end. There we go. And Plum Street salt boxes. Now I wanted to do mine all on one piece, and this is a piece of Picture This Plus Heroic. So it's the one with the pink and the blue in it. And I've nearly finished the first spring house. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to do mine long and thin. So I was going to do a spring house there, another spring house there, and then 2 summers, 2 autumns, 2 winters. And then I bought a frame, which is one of those ones that's just almost got like 2 threads hanging, and you hang up 8 pictures. So my idea after that was then to finish them as individual little finishes and put them in that frame. But the thing that's stopping me on this is the fact that this is a 32 count and I'm using 2 strands on it, and it's Picture This Plus, and I just find it really quite tight. I think it looks all right, but I don't know. Maybe if I just finish that one off and then see where we get to, because I really like the patterns if you've not seen them. So those are the spring ones. Summer. Autumn. And winter. And the last one I've got to show you is a real blast from the past. It's kept in this big project bag, which I've had folded, hence why it's a bit... Now this is the first Fox and Rabbit stitch along that I did, and this is the Peacock Garden, and this is where I am, and I'm so torn with this one. When I get it out I think, oh yeah, I do quite like it, but then there's something about it that reminds me of kind of like a 90s stitch. I don't know, the colours I've chosen, or I don't know. I don't want to ditch it. I don't know whether to take the, because the border was going to be butterflies, and there's about 1 billion butterflies. And I was like, I don't know if I can stitch all of those butterflies. So I had the idea of putting the alphabet around the outside. So I charted the alphabet, and I was just going to use the colours that I had used in the stitch and put it around the outside. Maybe that's what I'm thinking, is making it look a bit country kitchen. Maybe if I take the border off and just finish it, just finished it to there and then framed that. I don't know, made it into a pillow or just put it back in the drawer. I don't know. That's the thing that's stopping me finishing it, because I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. Answers on a postcard. Answers on a postcard, please. What should I do? Do I finish the alphabet? I've got the alphabet all charted to go around the outside. Do I pick out the alphabet and just finish it? It's stitched on 32 count basalt. No, mint splash. Mint splash. But it comes in 2 colourways, mint splash. You can either have the mint in the background with the white, or this is the white with the mint. So yeah, you can tell I'm totally perplexed by that one. I don't know what to do with it. So on that question of what to do, please do let me know, which should I get my finger into gear and finish? Is there any there you think I should ditch? Obviously there's only a couple I've talked about that I think I should ditch, maybe that I wasn't sure about. So just let me know in the comments down below what you think, and then in a couple of weeks time I will do the second part of my WIP parade. Anyway, I'll catch you next week for a normal update. Stay classy, stitchers.